I mean, dude, the more people that learn about Bitcoin and know what it is, they just buy it and they say, I'm never selling it. There's a bunch of crazy fucks like me that are never selling their Bitcoin. And that's different than anything we've ever seen, too.
Bitcoin profits guiding through the flames, lighting up the futures, fiat fades away. It's not just currency, it's a path we pay. That pursuit of freedom by Bitcoin was saved.
Hey, welcome back, dude.
Welcome back, man. Oh, man. It's been a long journey. When we were filming this, it was like at 27 to 29K. I don't really, I looked up the date, actually. I don't remember.
You were looking at the price of Bitcoin at our last episode?
Yeah, it was about 27 to 29.
Yeah, it was like 8 months ago.
Yeah. But we're back.
Oh, we're back.
Alive and well.
We're so back.
Oh, man. So, what's the first topic of discussion, Teo?
Shoot, where do you want to start?
I was thinking about talking about gold's value and how it's...
No, dude, I don't fucking care about gold.
Yeah, duh, because it's down 11%, especially in the last 50 years. It's pretty crazy.
Well, gold and silver are spiking too.
Silver, too?
Yeah.
Silver's not that important, though.
I think Bitcoin just passed silver on the top 10 most valuable assets in the world.
So is it 8th now?
I think it passed Meta, then passed
Silver?
silver,
So it's 8th.
and it's coming for gold.
Oh, shit.
And then gold's at like 16 trillion.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. We're just under 3% of an all-time high also. Short of it, what is it? We're at 67.4 right now at the time of the recording.
Dude, if Bitcoin if it surpasses gold at 16 trillion, a $20 trillion market cap for Bitcoin is $1 million Bitcoin.
Say that one more time.
A $20 trillion market cap, which would surpass gold at 16 trillion, puts Bitcoin at $1 million per Bitcoin.
Wow. I don't even know what to say to that. But the ETFs are buying like crazy. That's for sure.
They don't stop buying.
And
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the price is. Doesn't matter what RSI is. Doesn't matter about any charts, models. ETFs just will not stop buying.
Big banks are coming in too.
Everybody's coming in.
Schwab. Man. Typically, Bitcoin doubles every 2 weeks to about 12 weeks after the halving. So if you think about 69K doubling.
I think I saw Dylan LeClaire posted on Twitter. He said he gave 4 instances of Bitcoin surpassing its all-time high. And the amount of time it took to double after passing that all-time high was 10 days a couple times, 84 days one time, and maybe like 18 days another time.
Really?
So 10 to 84 days.
That's within a year. We could see 100K.
But yeah, that's when I'm saying if history is any indication, which it's not, because this time is totally fucking different, because ETFs don't care what the price are. They're just fucking dumping billions of dollars into Bitcoin. So
I wonder what caused the switch for them to just want to buy Bitcoin all of a sudden.
well, they got the ETFs for one, is that they could.
Right. Well, they couldn't before having an ETF? Or was it harder to convince?
It was just more difficult. But yeah, dude, I just think the accessibility, like not even institutions, but like everybody, they can just go onto the ETF. They don't really have to know anything about it. It's better if they do, because nothing beats cold storage, but this is getting Bitcoin into a lot of people's hands.
Aside from the ETFs coming in and the big banks and us projecting Bitcoin to be at 100K, especially with previous history after it passes all-time highs, why else shouldn't people sell?
Why should we diamond hands?
Yeah, and how will people suffer when they shake out?
No, I think it's important to think about, because for one, if nobody sells and everybody diamond hands, then when BlackRock is dumping their money into Bitcoin and they can't find their Bitcoin, then if everybody's diamond handing at the same time, then the price is just going to shoot straight up. Like the price is going to go higher if nobody sells, obviously.
We could probably see more than just $1 million Bitcoin.
I mean, eventually we will. It's just not. It's not an if. It's a when.
Right.
But
like right now, people don't understand like the halving when it halves. Like people could buy right now what it could have in about 40 years. You could literally buy percentages right now. Is what I do. Like I buy 1% whenever I get my check, and it's crazy because when you see the chart and how it exponentially grows and how it halves too. It's literally it comes down to percentages at the very that chart where it exponentially grows and it shows you the percentages. Oh man, like it'll be a point where it's less than 1% of a Bitcoin that's that comes into existence every day, and that's pretty remarkable to think about too.
just the absolute scarcity that it is.
It's not even like gold scarcity, because gold you can always combine it with other elements and make more of it, or just keep mining.
Or manipulate it so like they say that they have gold, but then they actually don't, right?
Oh right, yeah.
I mean, how do you really verify that all of the ETFs that are trading actually have the gold in reserves?
Right. How does that story transpire? I know
don't
we
even
covered
know.
it before, but it was like with greenbacks and
Oh, how we evolved?
yeah, how we evolved.
Oh, dude, we could get into that, but let's stay on some positive thoughts about
Okay.
Bitcoin first.
It's a good day today.
Before, if we start going down the gold path and how fiat money is broken, I'm just gonna get pissed off again.
I mean, we should be happy. We're out of the cycle. We're out of the matrix.
Well, yeah, I mean that's why it's like you're not gonna want to sell the winner for the loser, which would be selling Bitcoin for dollars.
Is it because? Why do you say it's a winner? For me, it's a winner because how you told me in our previous conversations. Over time, you'll need more dollars to buy something versus over time you'll need less Bitcoin to obtain the same thing.
Yeah.
Versus dollars.
Yeah. They're like two monetary systems moving in opposite directions.
Correct.
Like the dollar is inflating exponentially forever, and Bitcoin's supply is decreasing exponentially forever.
Okay.
So,
are we going to discuss like if we should be upset with how they are inflating the dollar? Apparently they're helping Ukraine out. They're helping a lot of other people out by inflating the dollar to create dollars to send over there. But then at the same time, they're weaponizing it too. Is it okay to weaponize the dollar?
well, government money is not okay to begin with. Okay. So, it's a reason that it's government money. Like, if it's their money, they can obviously control it.
Kind of seems like it ties into like why we aren't discussing Ethereum also, because they're also a cryptocurrency.
Right, because they have a human controller, a group of people that can, like the authority that can make the decisions about it. Mm-hmm. That's the problem.
That is a problem.
We can't have that.
And it took me so long to realize how that was a problem. Like, so much control for an individual or an institution can literally lead to ruins.
Mm-hmm.
And we're seeing it literally unfold before our eyes, and no one is apparently hopping on the train. It's okay, though. It's okay. They'll figure it out later.
Dude, I mean, I've seen a few videos of just girls having breakdowns in their car because they're like, oh, I went to college and I got my job and now I can't do anything and I can't pay for anything. You know?
Dude, I've seen those
videos.
It's
and
crazy.
they're like freaking out. Like they obviously recognize that something is wrong.
Yeah, and
like
the men in their lives aren't even able to help them too. Like, they both have to work now. Like, men and women in a relationship both need to work, like, in a middle age, in a medium class or middle class society.
Yeah, but like what I'm saying is our generation is waking up to the fact that this is all broken. Something is wrong and we need a solution because fucking what you guys told me about going to get a college degree and getting a job and getting a house and getting married, have kids, like that doesn't work.
It's not working. No.
Like, so everybody needs a solution. And I just feel like if we can enlighten people about Bitcoin and the corruption of fiat money, then we can help them get on the train as soon as possible, really. Because the sooner you exit the fiat monetary system, the sooner you exit the matrix.
Right.
So,
like, can you explain to the audience why Bitcoin is just more than just a source of monetary value that you use as stock? Like, what more is it than just stock? Something that you invest in, just hoping to get more money out of.
well, like, then it gets to the question, like, what is money? Because Bitcoin is money.
It is money. But I remember
Um,
you also telling me over time, why are you thinking about denominating it in dollars?
Yeah.
So explain that to me.
Like, we should start thinking about our lives in terms of Bitcoin, because if you denominate everything you do or everything you buy, or even the price of Bitcoin, like, obviously it's easy to measure because that's what everybody accepts today is like the dollar. But you're measuring the new system from the broken system.
Okay.
And the broken system is a bunch of distortions of price signals where you really have no fucking clue what's going on. So, and it's highly manipulated, highly corrupt. It's centralized planning. Like, it's not a good measurement of the value of Bitcoin even. So, Bitcoin, if we price the world in Bitcoin, like, Bitcoin's going to discover what the true price signals are in the world, because everything's been distorted from fiat money.
It comes down to trade. Like, what is your Bitcoin worth in a trade?
Right.
Sheep, oxen, a wife? Like, who knows?
Well, what's cool is that the whole world can denominate in one thing.
Yeah. It can be how El Salvador and Argentina has it. What is it called? Um, legal tender?
Yeah. But that's just what governments basically accept for payment. But that doesn't mean that that's what money is. Like, just because it's legal tender doesn't mean it's money, and just because it's money doesn't mean it's legal tender.
Could you like enlighten me a little more on that one? I honestly don't know.
Yeah. So if we're talking about just like barter, then we don't actually need governments to tell us what money is.
Okay.
Money is just what we're willing to accept for the good that we produced, and what other people are willing to accept for what they produced. And having one medium that we all agree upon, it doesn't matter what governments say.
One medium. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I've never like envisioned a world that has like one medium of exchange. Do you think that's possible, especially with Bitcoin?
No, yeah, I think it's gonna happen. Like in our lifetime.
Okay. So let's move on to some current events now. What about Coinbase? Crashed again within a week. What do you think about that?
Centralized exchange, dude.
Centralized exchange.
People. Remember we were saying we can't trust people?
FTX.
Obviously can't trust FTX, but I mean, I'm not saying that Coinbase is gonna be or do what FTX did, but you're still relying on people.
Yeah. I mean, they're definitely not planning on the way that Sam Bankman SBF did, but I mean that doesn't mean that
Also,
they
you
don't
never
take
know.
the
Yeah.
wrong.
Also, you really never know, because
Yeah.
who knew about SBF? Like, I mean, he looked fucking goofy,
Yeah.
but that's all you had.
Yeah,
That's all I do.
Einstein looked goofy, so they probably correlated that maybe, but what a nut job, dude.
For real.
Yeah, man. So Bitcoin's breaking its all-time. Well, it's close to breaking the all-time high before the halving. Never happened before. What do we think about that? Is that mainly due to the ETFs and big banks coming in?
Yeah.
Retail doesn't even know about it yet.
Yeah, I think this time is totally different
Why is it different?
because we have institutions. We have the big money. Oh, and because the supply is decreasing. This is the first cycle that we're entering where the supply is already decreasing. Like every other cycle, the supply was increasing.
There's about like 7,000 blocks left, right? Until it halves.
Sorry, the supply on the exchange. That's what I'm talking about, I think.
Because the miners aren't selling.
Or is it like, I don't know if it's the supply on exchange or the liquid supply. So just like Bitcoin that's not in cold storage, or no, Bitcoin that hasn't moved in, I think maybe like 3 years was at like 70% of Bitcoin.
Really?
Yeah.
So where are they now?
People just fucking diamond handing, dude.
Really?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I mean, dude, the more people that learn about Bitcoin and know what it is, they just buy it and they say, I'm never selling it. There's a bunch of crazy fucks like me that are never selling their Bitcoin. And that's different than anything we've ever seen too.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, a year ago, if I bought Bitcoin and I saw it go up, probably like if I made $1,000 on it, I'll probably have sold it. But what I've learned now, oh, diamond fucking hands, baby. You don't even fucking know what we're still not even in the beginning of where we're supposed to be at, guys. Oh, this is just the beginning.
Because, dude, if something like Apple went from 15,000 to 68,000, a lot of people are going to be selling Apple stock.
Right.
But
this is just a shakeout, though.
But when Bitcoin goes from 15,000 to 68,000, people don't even fucking budge. 70% hasn't moved in 3 years.
Because we're all getting educated on it, too.
Yeah, because it's money.
It is money.
Only will a monetary asset do that. And this is the greatest monetary asset humanity has ever seen.
It's a monetary asset that's beating global currencies. It's beating out global currencies out right now. I believe UK, it just got beaten by Bitcoin today.
Dude,
few other countries too.
Dude, what's her name? I forget.
Kathy Wood or
no, the European Union.
Who is it? Is it Prime Minister or something?
No, she's the central bank head of the European Union. I don't even know what they call it. The EU currency. Anyways, the European Union is attacking Bitcoin.
Really?
And since they posted that, like,
Christine
Lagarde, oh my
Lagarde.
gosh, dude. Evil.
Oh, really?
Evil.
Why?
They're attacking Bitcoin. And because they clearly identified it as a threat, because obviously it is, because it's going to make the value of the euro go to zero.
I mean, it's already defeating the UK's currency. So.
But they released propaganda saying that Bitcoin's going to zero, and that
you see a lot of that nowadays, especially
Yeah.
revolving around Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna go back down. Oh, Bitcoin, you guys, it's gonna fail. Oh my God, dude, hasn't failed yet. I know that guy that made Barstool Sports. He's pissed right now.
Portnoy.
Oh yeah. Dude.
Well, dude, because I saw a video of the Winklevoss twins explaining to him what Bitcoin was like a long time ago. And they were telling him stuff like, oh, the meteors, Elon Musk is going to go mine gold out of the meteors in the atmosphere and bring it back down to Earth. And that's why the value of gold is going to depreciate, because they're going to get so much more gold. And then Portnoy's like, like, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah. So they kind of butchered that with him. So I could realize, I mean, obviously Bitcoin is pretty complicated, especially when the whole world's been brainwashed with Keynesian economics. So obviously it's complicated, but then when they start talking about asteroids in outer space, they just complicated it even more. So Portnoy is like, didn't know what the fuck to do.
There's more investors too that like were telling their followers to not invest in Bitcoin. I wonder how those investors feel now, or not even the investors, their supporters. Like, do you still follow them? Do you still consider them as your leader?
Dude, do you think that camera's still on?
I don't know. Yeah.
Let me go check.
The red thing's blinking.
Is that what that means?
Pretty sure.
Well, yeah, I have a.
We'll just
Actually,
edit that out.
yeah, this should still be on, right? Yeah, whatever. Probably does. 68K.
So 68.
We're gonna hit an all-time high while we're filming.
That'd be nice.
That'd be electric. Vanguard CEO, he's stepping down
Oh
at the end of
yeah.
the year.
I mean, you make some bad calls like that, dude. Going from 27K to 67K is not gonna be fun.
Oh yeah, that's got to be why he's stepping down.
Yeah, I mean, he lost a lot of people a lot of money. I mean, he didn't lose the money, but you know, the opportunity cost.
Oh, he
right
made
there,
a
man.
terrible decision.
Yeah,
And dude, a bunch of people are going to make bad decisions on Bitcoin,
yeah.
and they're going to get fired too.
So Vanguard does not have an ETF right now, right?
They do not. And they didn't allow their customers to buy the Bitcoin ETF.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
So even the fact that they didn't have the product, they didn't allow their customers to buy other people's product.
Why? Like, how is that even allowed?
It's attack on Bitcoin.
Wow.
That's like some
People
fucking
controlling.
evil shit that people are controlling, and they don't want Bitcoin to succeed because they have the power, the monopoly over money. And then they get this Vanguard guy to ban it from their customers and then see what happens to him.
Okay, so we are approaching an all-time high, and we are approaching the halving. It's as of today, 43 days away. What does the halving mean for Bitcoin, and what has it done in the previous cycles that it's hit the halving?
Every time that we've had a Bitcoin halving, the supply that's mined added to the circulation gets cut in half. The supply that they create every day today is about 900 Bitcoin, and the supply that's going to be created after April 20th
420.
is going to be 450 Bitcoin.
Okay.
So every time that that's happened in Bitcoin's history, which I think this is the fourth time. It's fourth, yeah. But every time it's happened, the price of Bitcoin goes into price discovery mode because there's now a change in the stock to flow ratio. So the amount of Bitcoin that are being added to the circulation, obviously when I'm saying go from 900 to 450, cuts in half, Bitcoin halving. We're about to go into price discovery, and we're about to hit an all-time high before the halving, which is about to have the most insane supply shock that the world's ever seen.
Really?
Yeah. And the liquid supply of Bitcoin is already decreasing
Yeah.
rapidly, and the demand for Bitcoin is not slowing down. Everybody needs to be paying attention to what's going on.
Right.
Everybody needs to start reading the Bitcoin standard and understanding Bitcoin so that they can figure out how to get on the lifeboat and watching our podcast,
Right.
subscribing to Bitcoin Profits. But
Wait,
yeah.
so OTCs over the counter, they're not selling. Well, are they selling their Bitcoin, or are they just running out of Bitcoin? And are the miners selling their Bitcoin right now?
Yeah, I think the miners were selling something like 70% of the Bitcoin that they mine, but who really knows? Because there's only some publicly traded miners where we can like kind of monitor what they're doing, but the rest around the world, like we have no idea.
What's like your top 3 that you would invest in, or that you would, invest in?
I don't know if I want to give investment advice.
That's true. That's true. But I mean, there is a
But
quick
yeah,
winner.
no, this isn't investment advice, obviously. But for edutainment purposes,
Yeah, it's just for.
I would go Clean Spark, Bitfarms, Riot.
Okay, that's a good 3.
Yeah.
You wouldn't put. I mean, then I feel like Marathon and what's the 5th one? I'm missing the 5th one. Brain fart. What's the next one? There's Marathon and one more. Oh, Cypher. No,
Yeah.
not Cypher.
No, well, yeah, I think Marathon, yeah, is another big one. But after that, I probably wouldn't dabble in the smaller ones.
What about shitcoins? Any shitcoins that you dabble in?
No, I mean shitcoins are pumping.
Yeah. I
Doge,
recently-
Sheeb, Pepe, Bonk.
Really?
4 of the most retarded coins that could exist are pumping by like 50% today, 50% the day before. Like they literally doubled in like a week.
To obtain those shit coins, you need to send Solana for them, right?
I mean, you could buy them with whatever. You could buy your shit coins with Bitcoin if you're an idiot.
Oh, that's some stupid shit. Yeah. But dude, recently I my phone broke, and my 12-word seed phrase, which had on my Soulflare account, which had $50 worth of shit coins, vanished. So how important is it to know your fucking seed phrase, and like where would you store it, and how would you take care of it? Because everything could get lost like that, bro.
Well, here's the thing. Like, there's nothing better than cold storage, and we're moving back to Bitcoin. Like, we're not talking about shit coins anymore. But like, yeah, we're talking about Coinbase going down for the second time in a couple weeks,
Yeah,
where everybody's balance shows up as zero. Like,
it's not fun. It's not fun.
like
dude.
if you're not taking your Bitcoin off the exchange, like, what are you doing? Because obviously something's wrong. And I don't know what it is. Could just be BlackRock playing games where they're trying to manipulate the price, try to bring the price down so they can stack more Bitcoin at a lower price. I don't know what's going on, but like an account balance showing zero is worrisome. So yeah, the best thing that you can do is get a cold storage device. They're like, I mean, an easy to use one with like an easy to use interface, an application you get on your phone is like $100, $200. But if you're securing like thousands of dollars worth of Bitcoin, it's worth it.
Yeah, it's probably a smart, strategic move to like store your wealth.
Yeah. And we're talking about thousands of dollars today, but then maybe it's tens of thousands of dollars in like a week.
Potentially millions in the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
knows
Like
how
it's,
long in the
it's
future,
going
too.
up forever. So it's important to self-custody and cold storage.
Yeah. What do you think about MicroStrategy raising 600 million? What do you think they're gonna put it in?
Yeah, they raised another 600 million today.
Yeah.
Holy shit, Michael Saylor's a fucking G.
Dude, he's such a G, bro. Fuck, that guy's so smart.
Yeah.
He's probably gonna be up there with Satoshi as one of the world's wealthiest men. Probably overtake Elon. Yeah.
Yeah. At the pace that we're on, $1 million Bitcoin,
Dude, he has thousands.
that'd be I think he has 180,000, 190,000 on MicroStrategy's balance sheet.
Math, if it was a million.
Well, it'd be 1.9 trillion.
It would?
Wait.
Should I do the math?
Is that right?
Give me the math.
It's 1 million times 190,000. No, that better not be 1.9 trillion. It's got to be 190 billion.
Let's see.
Yeah, it's 190 billion.
190 billion. Wow, GBT.
But he's got his own bag too.
Let's do it one more time.
Well, no. If Bitcoin hits 184,000, Joe, do you know who the richest man in the world's going to be?
Satoshi.
Yeah. The richest man in the world is going to be an anonymous pseudonym.
I wonder if he'll ever allocate those funds. Like, will he just die and not touch them?
I hope so.
He'll die and not touch his Bitcoin. Because he probably already created it, and then he probably bought some afterwards. And he was like, fuck the million. You know, like, who?
There were some new emails that somebody published, like 100 emails of Satoshi and early developers. I haven't gone through them all yet, but I've seen some on threads on Twitter. Like, he's a real person.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, like, how did you make that consensus for yourself?
Just because he's like communicating like a normal person.
How? Like, what was he doing on the emails?
Like he's communicating with other people where he's like asking them to check out his white paper or telling them to check out the code that he published or stuff like that, and then developers in the space are like responding back to him.
Really?
Okay, I'll check it out. I think there was one time somebody invested or donated like $3,500 to what he was doing so that he could continue to do it.
Really?
Yeah, like he was running out of money.
I mean, her, maybe. Them.
Yeah, sure.
Never know.
Sure, it could be anybody.
Could be anybody.
But it sounds like it was Satoshi was one person.
That's incredible that one human being.
I mean, he
Could have
had some
done
help.
this.
He had some help.
Probably did.
Yeah.
But still, that's incredible. He didn't put two names in. He only put one.
And also, like most of the, I think most of the code that is in Bitcoin was already created.
Really?
And there was people in the space like developers that had created cryptography and like proof of work that he was communicating with. So he was like branching to those elements of the code, like to the people that created it, and then putting it together.
So we know Bitcoin is proof of work, and we know Ethereum is proof of stake. Ethereum was once proof of work, but what is the significant difference in both of them?
Well, proof of stake is a consensus model where just the people that hold the majority of the tokens can make the governance decisions on the network.
Yeah.
So they choose what happens to the code. They choose how many tokens there are.
So Vitaly Buterin, who right now has the majority ownership of proof of stake, can decide what he wants to do with the company.
Right.
What about Bitcoin?
Not a single person can, because even if you do control a lot of Bitcoins, tokens, you can't control the network because it's the computers that are using physical energy, like measured in watts, to solve basically guess and check the hash until they win the block. And that energy intensive process is what secures the network. So it's proof of work. In order to make a consensus, you have to prove your energy expenditure. And then proof of stake is just you were the early founder or early developer in the blockchain. You own a lot of the tokens, and then now you can stake your tokens and make decisions on the network. So that's people.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Great way to define both of them.
Yeah.
So we have a 64% increase in about 40 days. Where do you see it going in the future?
We had a 64%. What?
Bitcoin did 64% increase,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not supply and it's price.
Since when?
40 days. 40 days ago.
4 days?
40.
Oh, 40.
Yeah, 40 days till today.
Yeah, sounds right.
It's about I believe it was like 23,000 within a month, and it was 13,000 in a week that we're seeing right now. I mean, as of right now, I'm getting notifications right now that Bitcoin's going up above 68,000,
Mm-hmm.
which is about, I mean, I think it's about 1,000 away
From all-time high. If we hit an all-time high while we're filming, dude, that's some good juju that we got when we film. So we should just film every single day.
No, for real. We'll probably see an all-time high by tomorrow, most likely. It's trading.
No, dude, we're gonna see it like tonight, in like an hour, or in a second.
Definitely by tonight.
Dude, it could happen in like 2 minutes, so for all we know.
Okay, so when the gold ETF was approved, they increased supply to get more gold to the market. However, you won't be able to increase the supply of Bitcoin. So we see gold at 1 on, is it the assets or is it liquidity? What is it? It's the first one, and silver is 8th. Meta is about 9th, I believe. What chart is that?
I think it's the price for assets globally.
Globally. Do you believe Bitcoin will take 1, and do you think it will just run with it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, Bitcoin's gonna be 1, and then nothing's. That's why there is no second best, because it's gonna be 1, and there's nothing gonna be close.
So that 21 million. That's 21 million. When it gets denominated into satoshis, 100 million. what does that mean for the global currency? That there will ever be how many satoshis? It would be 100 million times 21 million, which would be what, 21 billion
More.
more.
It's a big number though.
It's a big number. It's just multiply 21 million times 100 million, and you'll figure the satoshis out.
What is it? A quintillion something?
Probably.
Yeah, I don't even know how to even say it. So, yeah, what's your question?
Since the gold ETF did get approved, they were ordered to mine more, and they were ordered to mine more gold, but you can't mine more Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Uh,
So you're saying that Bitcoin's divisibility should not be confused with
Gold's
Bitcoin's
divisibility.
finite supply?
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like a meme. Because if you don't really understand Bitcoin, and somebody would say, like, "Oh, it's not scarce because you can divide it into 100 million different pieces," when that's not creating any more Bitcoin. That's just dividing one Bitcoin into more pieces. So, some people get confused about that.
What do you think about Sailor? Going back to Sailor.
He's just a fucking legend.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, when did you start following him? I started following him probably December of last year. Like, I would hear about him. I would watch some of his Lex Friedman podcasts, but like really like dissecting his like thoughts, especially in like podcasts mainly, not his books. I'm pretty sure he's wrote a book or two maybe.
I haven't read his book. I think it's something to do with like the mobile wave. I think it is. I haven't read it yet, but I think that was for like Apple and Microsoft moving to like mobile devices and how that was going to change the world. So like he's been ahead of the curve multiple times on things that changed the world.
He bought even when it went down, right? Like when it was at 69K, he bought, and then when it came down to 15K.
Michael Saylor says he'll be buying the top forever.
Really?
Yeah, because he gets it. Goes up forever.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like Bitcoin's cap will never end. I mean, no one's cap will ever end, but you kind of have like a prediction of where everyone will be at. But you can't really predict what Bitcoin will be at, especially with the halving.
That's what I'm saying when we're talking about.
Especially, it doesn't even have it. We'll be dead by the time it finishes halving, which is even crazier. Even Satoshi.
But dude, it's gonna get to a point where the stock to flow ratio is so low, like it might as well be infinity already.
Can you explain the stock to flow ratio for the guests, please?
Sure. So the stock to flow ratio is the existing stock divided by the annual new supply, and that gives you the stock to flow ratio. So gold stock to flow ratio, so the existing supply of gold and the amount of gold that's mined per year, the ratio comes out to I think 69.
69.
And then Bitcoin right now, before the halving, the stock to flow ratio is 62. And then after the halving, it's going to be 124 or something.
That makes it harder.
Something around there. But yeah, it's going to keep going down, or the stock to flow ratio is going to keep getting higher basically every day because the amount of Bitcoin that's mined, and then that makes the existing supply of Bitcoin larger. And then now the inflow of new supply would be a higher stock to flow ratio than before the new supply came in, right?
So gold's would be lower, right, compared to Bitcoin's.
Bitcoin will have the highest stock to flow ratio that humans have ever seen.
And what does that mean?
That means that nobody is ready for what's about to happen because nobody's seen it before. You can't model it or project it because it's literally never happened.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Fucking incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And so the supply diminishes at a half, and the stock to flow ratio, because of the supply diminishing to a half, increases. I mean, by 2x, which makes it harder.
The stock to flow after the halving?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's roughly 2x.
Wow.
But then as we continue, like when we get to a stock to flow ratio of like what? I think it'll be somewhere around 400 in 2028. Then somewhere around 1,000 2032. 2032 at 1,000, that's basically infinity.
What year do you see Bitcoin off the exchanges? I mean, obviously there's gonna be people selling, but like where there's just like so few out there, you know, there's just so few. Like you'll probably see within 1,000 Bitcoin being on exchanges or even miners willing to sell, because there will be a day that where that comes. It's already happening right now. There's only so many you can buy. There's only so many out there.
Yeah, if we're talking about Bitcoin on the exchange, like you're not going to be able to trade. I don't know. I'm pretty optimistic about the world adopting a Bitcoin standard, and I think it can happen a lot faster than people think. 28.4 or 68.4.
Oh, that's moving.
We're about to hit all-time high. But you're not going to be able to buy Bitcoin for dollars forever.
What will you be able to buy it with?
Like, we'll get to a point where dollars are irrelevant, and if you want more Bitcoin, then you have to go, like, work for it.
Okay.
Provide labor, produce a good, and then trade it for Bitcoin.
Let's talk about our dollars. So the world supply for money is inflating by 2%, correct? The
No.
world, like the true inflation is 2%.
No.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Then.
Yeah, it's... Well, the dollar's target inflation rate from the Fed is 2%, but we've been way over that.
That's true.
And
that's what I was talking about.
And they literally cook the numbers. Like they create the data that tells you what your inflation is, even though everybody has a different inflation rate, because not everybody sits in their room and watches Netflix all day and eats like top ramen. Yeah. You know what I mean? That inflation rate is going to be different than us buying all this podcast equipment.
Yeah.
Like, so they measure a inflation rate based on the data points that are more favorable to creating a lower inflation rate.
Yeah, to like someone that's living way below their means.
They just trick you into thinking that they're not printing as much money as they are.
Yeah. So what's the real inflation rate? Or what can you approximate it at?
I think Saifedean said that it was around 14% a year globally.
I mean, McDonald's prices are going up, man. It's crazy.
The Big Mac index?
Yeah. It's about like $20 almost, maybe $15 to $20 almost for a meal, versus it was under $10 a few years ago.
So people today, like,
gasoline was freaking through the roof a year ago.
They just accept the fact that inflation exists.
And deal with it, you know?
And dude, that's from generations of propaganda economic theory. They deliberately deceived generations of people into thinking that fiat money is what we need. It's what we need for the economy. And if we didn't have it, we'd be screwed. And people think that. That's why Bitcoin's so hard to understand. Like, people will be like, well, the government's going to ban it. Or, no, why? How can we have money without the government? It's like, are you serious?
I just wanted to mention that we are 0.8%
away.
0.8%
away. 68.5.
$500 close to, roughly.
Okay, dude, I think we're going to just have to film until we hit the all-time high.
No, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Going back to the dollar, though, is devaluing very... let's talk about Russia and how we kind of weaponized the dollar against Russia.
You know what I could do? Hold on one sec. I'm going to screen record
Oh, perfect.
the chart so that we can
Yeah,
put
show
it
it at the
up
same time.
as like our
Oh,
reaction.
that's a great idea.
Yeah.
So, U.S. weaponizes the dollar from what we learned from the Tucker Carlson interview. Okay, what we learned, what I
From
learned,
Putin.
what we learned from Putin, and I mean, I'm not big on Putin just because of what happens to Navalny. Okay, his opponent. I'm never going to Russia. I don't have to worry about that. I'll say whatever I want to say, especially being in a free country, free speech. Um, but the U.S. weaponizing the dollar was probably one of the biggest mistakes we've ever made. Why?
That's
Because
what Putin said, yeah.
that's it. That is what Putin said. And why was it bad? Coming from Putin, because it brought all the dollars that we had in Russia back into our economy and fluctuating our economy with more dollars, basically creating more inflation for ourselves. And other countries now kind of looked at us a little differently. They're like, "Oh, you're about to screw us and fuck us by weaponizing the dollar? Well, fuck you." And now everyone's kind of moving on to yuan. But it won't take too long before they move to Bitcoin. But, just wanted some of your thoughts on that.
Yeah, other nations are deciding to make trades in other currencies that aren't the dollar, yeah. That's probably accelerating. But at the same time, it's like the Chinese, I think it's yuan, is backed by dollars. That's the whole fucked up fiat house of cards that we live on. Is the dollar is paper, and then we send it to foreign countries, and then they have a new currency of paper that's backed by the paper that we gave them.
When did we get off the gold standard?
1971, officially.
Do you remember the president?
Yeah, Richard Nixon.
Really? So when he got off the gold standard and he moved into the dollar, how did he make a consensus for all the other countries? Was it because we're just more powerful than all of them? Why couldn't the yuan be the global currency and we just all be backed by the yuan?
I think we were the most stable and influential economy.
Especially coming late to the war too. Because
Yeah.
I know the war makes money, but it also costs a lot of lives and labor and resources.
Yeah. I mean, we're getting deep into the corrupt fiatness and how that even like creates war.
Yeah.
But yeah, in 1971, the dollar was backed by the gold, but too many foreign nations were redeeming their dollars for the gold to the point where we ran out of gold. So we couldn't pay the foreign nations redeeming their dollars for the gold because we didn't have it. So we were insolvent. And then from that point, everybody just decided, okay, let's just build this house of cards on top of nothing instead of the gold that we used to use. That sounds better.
Right. It worked for a while. It seemed like it worked for a while until we just kept printing, man. Like I saw the chart, and then around 2008, when we hit that housing crisis, everything just right before it, we shot up. Why? Because we're just giving out dumbass loans for no fucking reason, and then boom, crash. And that's when Bitcoin comes out too, 2008.
Yeah. So, dude, if you think about it, like we had to have that sort of catastrophe, fiat money, the experiment of fiat money had to happen in order for us to continue to push civilization forward by the invent of Bitcoin. So like we had to have the failures to get to the sunnier side, which is Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But
how long do you want to film?
We got to film until we get it all-time high. I don't know how long we've been filming, do you?
I feel like we've been about
50 minutes.
15 minutes. That's a lot of edit too, though.
We don't have to edit very much, dude. We just throw it out there.
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to do that.
All right, well, we're at 68,445.
Let's take a break.
No, we don't need to take a break. We could take a break and this thing could hit it. We gotta be on when we're dude. Come on.
Okay.
Let's just keep talking about some shit until Bitcoin hits its all-time high, and then we can celebrate.
Wait, that just made a sound.
No, it didn't.
Okay, my bad. Okay. How about
Shh, don't make a sound.
All right, I'm just
No, there was actually
want to gather my thoughts.
Yeah, we had like something we were talking about right before this. I had like 3 different things
The
that
dollar.
I wanted to say.
Weaponize the dollar. Russia. Putin.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
The reality of it is that governments are going to become less relevant.
You said governments are going to be less relevant?
Yes.
Why?
Because,
And what would a world look like without a government?
well, that's anarchy. It's not going to be complete and utter anarchy. And I don't think that would probably be good either. Maybe. Some people do. Some people are anarchists that think that that's how society should operate. But I don't know.
There was a stat you told me.
Maybe I think that.
I think it was yesterday or the day before, where you said 1% of humanity, we were living in like an economist society, and the rest, 99%, were hunters and gatherers.
Oh, yeah. I was saying that we've only been farming agriculture for 1% of human existence. So, like, this whole thing, civilization, we're still figuring it out.
Right.
Like, we haven't figured out shit yet.
We're the 1%. Luckily.
Yeah, luckily, this is the best time to be alive, for
Right.
sure.
Especially with Bitcoin.
But that doesn't mean that we're at peak humanity. Like, we have to continue to try new things, new ideas, how to organize, how to communicate, to push civilization forward, to continue pushing forward, because we're not there yet. We could have heaven on earth. We just have to get there. We have to just keep pushing to get there. Like, poverty doesn't need to exist. And I mean, Bitcoin fixes that.
How do we get Bitcoin to the hands of so many people? There's it's close to 9 billion now people on Earth. I know at least 7 to 8, right? But if you divide let's divide 8 billion by 21 million. Let's do a calculator.
Yeah, how? We need solutions to scale it. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to build.
You want to talk about what you want to build?
Yeah, we can get into it.
8 billion divided by 21 million is about 380.95
What is that?
per Bitcoin per person. I'm pretty sure that's 380 what how do I say that?
380 people per Bitcoin?
Is it like that? So how do I divide it the other way? Let's do 21 divided by 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And that is 0.0002625 Bitcoin per person. That's crazy.
You got me feeling greedy.
That's crazy. Like, in a world where that's how much Bitcoin should be in the hands of so many people,
Like, if it was equally distributed between every person on the planet,
it would be.
that's how much everybody should have.
Not even 25
Or
cents.
would have.
Or 25 like cents compared to like a Satoshi, right? In our terms, in dollar terms.
No, that's more than 25 cents.
That's more than 25 cents.
Well, multiply that by 65K or 68K.
About 17.85.
$20 worth of Bitcoin
No way.
is equally distributed 21 million per
And
person.
we're so lucky
That's
to
crazy.
buy it right now for as much as we want and obtain so much of that right now.
Just stacking sats, baby. Hey,
I mean, Bitcoin's still under $1 million. You still accumulate a lot.
not for long.
I mean,
Time? No, I mean, we are literally working against the clock.
Yeah.
TikTok, next block.
Like yesterday it was at 62K. It's at 68 right now. A week ago it was probably at 50 something. A week before that it was probably around 30 something. Not 4. I mean, probably 40 then 30.
what's about to happen is going to be just so insane.
Let's see how Bitcoin's been faring week by week.
Oh, dude, no, I want to go down this rabbit hole of
Let me hear it.
of governments becoming less relevant.
Oh, tell me about it.
Because like you're talking about this, the anarchy where there is no government. You're like, what would a world look like without government?
Yeah.
Well, that's Bitcoin. Because there's no authority on Bitcoin.
I mean, you're gonna need law and order,
Right? And protection.
property rights.
Well, that's what they infringe on.
Unless
That's
you
what
can do property rights on the base layer of Bitcoin. But keep on what you're saying.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
So governments, they infringe on your property rights because the way that the democracy was put together was so that they could finance the strongest military. The best government, the greatest organization of government and people allowed for the governments to profit the most, which allowed them to fund the military with the most amount of money, which allowed that country to prosper. That's us.
I was gonna say us being that country.
Yeah. So today, they continue to extract resources from us. And we don't necessarily, I don't agree with funding them.
Right.
I want my fruits of my labor, and I don't want to give it to you. Why would I do that? Especially when the government is way too big, providing way too many services and bullshit stuff that's being funded that I don't agree with, that I don't want to fund. For starters, the central bank.
Yeah.
In a
Pointless
world,
wars.
in a world where governments can't seize your property, so they use coercion and violence to keep us in their control.
Is the coercion controlling news outlets?
That's like colluding together, right? And then imposing their ideologies on their citizens with violence. So yeah, try and live in America and not pay your taxes. They'll come get you and put you in jail.
Sometimes even speaking your voice, just put you in jail or do something to you.
If you're Elon Musk and you are
In Delaware,
an advocate of free speech, and the courts are fucked up, or if you're Donald Trump and the courts don't want you to be president because of what you think, what you say, no. But the point is that
that's a rabbit hole.
there's just unlimited rabbit holes that we can just. Government's becoming less relevant because if they can't seize your property, and if they don't have the funding to, if they don't have access to an unlimited money printer, and they can't just even though you don't agree with funding them, they can't just fund themselves in the roundabout way that actually takes money out of your wallet and funds them. You know how inflation is literally just devaluing your money, taking from some and giving to others.
Being a slave.
Yeah. So if they don't have the funding and they don't have the ability to impose violence, which is Bitcoin's monetary system, Bitcoin's economy, because there's no authority, there's no violence, and there's no coercion. So they can't seize your property, and you can, in fact, go anywhere with all of your wealth.
Be it a cold storage wallet with a 12-word C phrase.
Right. So if you just engrave those 12 words in your brain, you go anywhere. Yeah. You could be naked and have 12 words in your head, and you could move with $200 million. or I guess we could just say 200 Bitcoin, right? Mm-hmm. We're not talking about dollars.
I see a day where Bitcoin touches 100 million in our lifetime.
100 million?
100 million.
Dollars. Dude, 1 Bitcoin equals 1 Bitcoin. That's all it is. So
I still have a hard time grasping the thought around that.
Yeah.
Because I still think in dollar.
Yeah.
Dollar terms.
It's a mind fuck. But so in that world where you can go anywhere with all of your property and there's no ability for anybody to take it from you, then you go to a government that provides the best service to their customers. You become a customer to the government, which is how it should be. But it basically gives everybody becomes a sovereign individual where they have all of their wealth and their possessions in their head.
Describe being a customer for the government versus what we are right now. Like, would you say we're slaves versus customers?
Yes. Yeah.
And what's a customer look like if it's not a slave?
Yeah, like a customer is where the governments, they provide protection for their citizens. That's what we're paying for. We're not paying for you to impose rules and regulations on us and steal our money, okay?
Yeah.
So in a world where everybody can be free and go wherever they want with all of their wealth, now it becomes a competition for governments to provide the superior service if they want to attract people that are going to create and build wealth in their nation. And then if they make rules that are to extract their wealth from the people that live there, or if they don't treat their citizens well, if it's not clean, if it's not safe, then those countries and governments aren't going to be
sustainable.
Yeah, and they won't have the money to do anything because it's all a choice at that point. It's a choice whether I want to pay the government for the service that they provided because they don't even know what my finances are because it's completely private.
That is pretty incredible that our finances technically are private, but at the same time we are like getting audited for our taxes.
Yeah, I mean if and when there's a scenario where the government has no idea who sent money, when, where, how much money you have, how can they impose tax enforcement on you if they know nothing about your finance? They know nothing about your bank account transactions. So that's what it's going to look like. And it's going to be a better world because governments are going to be smaller.
What, a world without taxes?
No, I mean,
nice world to live in.
Yeah, but like if the government
there is a world like that right now. It's called Argentina.
Yeah, well, you still pay taxes, just not on your crypto gains.
Yeah, but that's all we're going to be transacting.
True.
Yeah. But you say you don't want to talk about your company, though, right?
We can get into it, but it's kind of, we can maybe talk about it next time.
Okay. Let's talk about, you want to talk about Malay?
Sure.
Okay, so back in zero crypto tax, Argentina and I believe El Salvador also has imposed zero taxes on their crypto profits. Because I'm pretty sure
transactions.
So you literally get deducted nothing when you sell your crypto or you transact your crypto for whatever. And also I saw was it BlackRock? They said 1 billion in for 6 days straight of transactions in Bitcoin that they've been imposing. Like, I mean, I'm not imposing, but they've been transacting $1 billion a day for 6 days straight in Bitcoin. That's just inflows of Bitcoin.
Are we talking about BlackRock or Malay?
Oh, we're gonna go back to Malay. I just wanted to put that point in.
Oh, you just wanted to add the fact that BlackRock's done $1 billion in volume in the past
6 days.
6 straight days. Yeah.
It's crazy. But the new guy Malay looks funny in the beginning. I was like, who the fuck is this guy? You know, he's crazy. He's fucking throwing. He kicked the government out. Their central bank currency or whatever it was. The one. And yeah, just tell me a little about him. Like, what do you think about him? I like the guy. I think he's cool. It's just he's transacting contracts in Bitcoin.
No,
he knows it. He gets it.
He seems radical because he's like a libertarian and he believes in Austrian economics.
And yeah.
Which is radical because of the world we live in today that was propagated for us with Keynesian economics and government. So the matrix that we live in, that was created for us, that we're just like brainlessly just existing in.
Yeah.
It's contrary to everybody's belief systems to be a libertarian and have Austrian economic theory. And he's the president of Argentina because Argentina was desperate for an alternative because they were broken. They're a broken country because they already hyperinflated their fiat currency to basically nothing.
What a man, bro. Like, coming in when Bitcoin, it wasn't even, like, pumping. Like, I mean, it was pumping a little bit, but it wasn't even there, you know? It wasn't even approaching its all-time high. You know, it was still very volatile, and he decided to transact in Bitcoin. He decided to use it for contracts. He legal tendered it. Come on.
He didn't legal tender it, but like I'm saying, you don't have to legal tender it. That doesn't make you...
What does that mean? What does legal tender mean?
Legal tender just means that the government will settle, like a contract with the government in that money.
Okay.
Yeah, in that currency. But that doesn't mean that they're not willing to settle a contract in something else.
Okay.
So it really just means nothing.
Okay.
Like,
they're just willing to accept it.
Right, and if Malay is eliminating taxes on Bitcoin transactions, then that's inviting Bitcoin to be money in Argentina. I just think that they need a scaling solution that makes it like easy to use and practical and instant and free and private. And then like the people are already desperate for an alternative.
Yeah, we do need that alternative.
And that is along the lines of Malay's thinking for advocating for freedom and privatizing everything that government is trying to has been controlling in Argentina. He's pushing it all to be private because the government was too big.
So he has control to do that? Just to
He's doing it.
overthrow the government? That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, he's not like overthrowing. Well, I mean,
Kind of is.
he's throwing a lot of it out, but he's the president. Like he is the government. You know.
Okay, yeah, it's true. I mean, their economy is actually thriving really well too. Post-election.
I mean, yeah, I hope they're doing better, but they're trying to dollarize. So even though he recognizes that the Argentinian peso was broken fiat money, he's giving that up, and everybody in Argentina has a demand for dollars, and he's getting loans from the IMF, which is like the World Central Bank, the World Bank. Mm-hmm. He's getting loans in dollars.
Is that Jerome Powell still or someone else?
It's a little bit different.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess they have like 64 million people, and onboarding all of them to Bitcoin right now just probably wouldn't work. I don't know how that would scale with the technology that we have today, but I just think he's waiting for it.
Okay.
Like he's just waiting for a privatized money to be able to circulate in Argentina that's backed by Bitcoin, which is that's now we're getting into the SAP blockchain, what I'm working on. Like we can dabble in it a little bit, but it's like I've seen Malay walking around with Friedrich Hayek's work. He's an Austrian economist, and he's the one that went like head to head with the Keynesian economic theory when in like 1970s era, I think, later. So I'm seeing Malay walking around with Hayek's work, and Hayek, his thesis for what money should be is privatized currency. Like we have private institutions that are issuing their own currency in a free market for where anybody can choose which form of money they want to use and transact in. And that, because a free market, because everybody in a free market is incentivized to act in their own best self-interest, that a free market will discover what money is supposed to be and what it's supposed to look like, because everybody is acting incentivized to act in their own best self-interest. So if one privatized currency is inflating the money supply and devaluing their customers' money, then obviously that company would not be successful in the industry or successful in the private currency market. So they would lose market share in the currency that does provide a one-to-one backed currency with Bitcoin and doesn't inflate their money supply, would more likely
succeed.
Yeah, more likely to capture market share.
So with Malay borrowing money from the International Monetary Fund, do you think he's also borrowing money to invest in Bitcoin? Do you think he's throwing some of that money in Bitcoin? Or do you think he's using it to help his economy become more like dollarized?
Well, there is Mr. 100.
Who is that?
We don't know.
Okay.
What if it's Malay?
All right, give me your guess and I'll tell you my guess.
Probably Jeff Bezos, maybe.
I was going to say Elon.
I don't think it's Elon.
I feel like Elon's talking to Sailor. He's like, bro, what
No,
you doing?
I don't think. No, there was actually some people saw that Jeff Bezos was on a yacht with Sailor.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's him. That's him. That's gotta be him.
Yeah, Sailor just orange pilled the fuck out of him.
Yeah.
And Bezos was selling a bunch of Amazon stock at like around the same time that Mr. 100 was just started buying. Like he was buying 100 like
a day.
I think he did it. No, he was buying 100 a day since like November of last year. But then recently he started buying 100 like multiple, like sometimes 10 times. I think he did, the most he did was buying 100 16 times in one day.
Wow. In one day. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you think he's still gonna be? I mean, he has to, especially.
I wonder if he slowed down, because that was a few days ago.
It's pretty incredible how, I mean, even Sailor, doesn't he come off as like Satoshi? He's at meetings, he's presenting what Bitcoin is.
He's just a genius. He's not Satoshi, dude.
I mean, Satoshi's low-key a genius too.
Yeah, of course he is. All right, dude.
Who do you think is more of a genius?
Satoshi or Sailor?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know Satoshi, but I do know that Sailor's a genius. But in order for Satoshi to create what he did, he has to also be a genius. So, yeah.
What were you saying though?
We're at 68,072.
I feel like that was a good podcast, bro.
Yeah, we're at hour 13 in. We can wrap it up,
right.
But like this is gonna happen overnight, and we're not gonna get a live shot of it.
It's fine.
Yeah, it is what it is. All right. Thanks
for
for listening. This is the Bitcoin Profits Podcast.
My name is Joseph.
We out.
That's Teo. Bye.